and I implore upon Honorable Dr. Pukose to desist from confusing the Honorable Chair. Honorable Mr. Speaker, as I reply, I just wish to mention one thing that was mentioned by Honorable Opio Wadai, who is a very objective member of Parliament, and doing his work in terms of oversight on the cost of electricity and power in this country. There are many considerations that we have to make as a country, as an economy, because the major part of the cost of power and the cost of energy is actually based on demand. When we increase our capacity to absorb extra capacity, currently we have installed capacity of around 3,000 megawatts. Mr. Speaker, for an economy to be able to access cheap power, we, number one, have to make mechanisms of increasing demand for power itself. And the reason I'm saying that, Mr. Speaker, is that when you produce less capacity, then in terms of per capita and in terms of per unit, then the cost goes high. If you compare our installed capacity of 3,000 megawatts with that, for example, of South Africa, South Africa has around 64 gigawatts of installed power. When you go to South Korea, it is around 120 gigawatts installed capacity. And therefore, the work we are doing is to increase the demand side of power. Because when you increase the demand side, then the power you produce in bulk has got areas that can be absorbed in. And therefore, unit cost of power then consequently goes down. And I'm sure we are already aligning in regards to that. Mr. Speaker, also, in terms of debt, I also want to add the voice onto that, because yesterday our cabinet set and they made proposals in regards to the debt benchmark. Every country, instead of setting an aggregate figure in terms of the debt ceiling, you know, economy is a moving target. Our GDP keeps on rising. Our production keeps on rising. When you anchor debt in terms of an aggregate figure, then you are not giving credence to the fact that economy is a moving target. Therefore, most of the advanced economies, what they do for fiscal prudence is to put a benchmark that also moves in the tandem of the movement of the economy. And therefore, instead of the aggregate figure, then having a debt to GDP ratio is more preferable, because even the economy changes. And therefore, our debt or the cabinet never approved anything around taking the debt appetite up. It is actually in terms of reducing. We have already demonstrated that we have reduced our deficit currently. We have demonstrated further that through this supplementary budget, we have actually reduced our deficit, fiscal deficit, to 5.7, when actually even IMF have recommended 6.2 and 5.8. But as a responsible government, we have actually reduced that through this appropriations bill to 5.7% of our GDP. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I reply.